Hello, Feuzion Nation. My name is Alex Feuz, the host of Feuzion News. Today is March 8th, 2017, and we have a big show for you tonight. I am on the phone right now with Jim Murray from CBS Boston. So, Jim, how are you doing tonight?
Excellent. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, no problem. So, on a day where we saw the Tony Romo era is end down there in Dallas, and Julian Edelman breaking things off with his girlfriend, and we also saw A-Rod announced that he is now with Jennifer Lopez. We also saw the Patriots get even better. And now that we're talking price problems, we'll also talk some Sox problems as well. So, Jim, very busy time down there in Boston today, right?
Yeah, and mostly kind of dominated with a lot of the NFL stuff. Like you mentioned, Tony Romo going to be released tomorrow by the Cowboys. So, the feeling is he's going to end up on some AFC team, and maybe the Patriots will finally have a decent challenge when it comes to the playoff times. He ends up, either in Denver or in Houston, and obviously they pick up Dwayne Allen in a trade today that I don't think anybody saw coming.
Yeah. Now I have to ask you, what is Jimmy Garoppolo worth for this Patriots team?
It seems like the asking price for it, based on some of the reports, is 2 number 1 picks, one this year and one next year. There was a report today, I think it was from Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland Plain Dealer, that the Browns, an unnamed source, said that they would trade their second number 1 pick, the 12th overall pick, for him. Which I personally, if I was in Bill Belichick's shoes, I would make that deal, because I still think Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady in the way that he's been playing for at least the next 2 or 3 seasons, and Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be on the bench. So if push is going to have to come shove here, I don't think he wants to be a backup. So I think you should try to make the move now and try to get one of these number 1 picks. If Cleveland's really offering that, they can throw in something else, maybe another number 1 next year. Like, I don't see how you say no to that move.
And especially today with the trade coming from the Colts with Dwayne Allen and the Patriots trade away the 4th round draft pick. So, Jim, where does this whole thing play into part with potentially trading away Jimmy Garoppolo?
The Dwayne Allen thing, I think, is more about the fact they're going to lose Martellus Bennett in free agency. He was only in on a 1-year deal. He was great the first half of the season. Then he played hurt. I appreciate that. I do like the player, but I think you've seen the best of him here. He's past 30. Had a lot of injuries last year. Makes it sound like, based on what he's been posting on social media, he knows he's going to be out. So that's fine. And I think Dwayne Allen is just more about, backup tight end depth, and the fact that they're going to need to replace Martellus Bennett. The little I know about the player, I guess he's a good blocker, so he can help the running game. So just a depth thing more than anything else, I believe.
Now, of course, free agency starting, less than 20 hours tomorrow. And what do the Patriots need to do? They've done some great things already in the free offseason already. So what do the Patriots need to do? I know they're off a Super Bowl win. So what can you expect with the Patriots this offseason?
Expect and hope are 2 completely different things. So what I can expect are more surprises, like the Dwayne Allen thing. Nobody saw that coming today, especially considering the Colts had just given that guy a 4-year deal last year. And these 2 teams notoriously have kind of hated each other over the last, during the Bill Belichick era, your last 15, 16 years. So, I would expect the unexpected. What I hope happens is that they do find a way to re-up with Dante Hightower. I think he's extremely important to that defense, especially against the run, and I don't think you can really replace his leadership. And I would also like to see them sign Alan Branch, who was their best defensive player last year, at least the most consistent. Whether those 2 things happen, again, that'll remain to be seen. But for me, those are 2 things I would like to see happen.
Now, Jim, before we move on and talk some MLB baseball, the Red Sox, of course, I want to talk to you about that Super Bowl game. I know, it's been over a month now since that game. And I have to ask you, going into halftime, did you already count this Patriots team out as they were trailing 28-3? Or did you hold some hope for this team to make a comeback like they did?
No, I was there. It was over. The only reason I stayed was because it was my first Super Bowl experience. Otherwise, if that was a game in Gillette, I would have walked out, and I would have regretted it, obviously, considering how it ended up playing out. But no, I thought that game was over.
Yeah, and that was one of the most exciting Super Bowl comebacks if ever. One of the greatest Super Bowl games, I think, in history. And I had to ask you this: I know Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback in my mind in history, and Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, in my opinion. Do you think that Patriots is the greatest NFL franchise of all time?
That's a good question. I got to try to take the fan part of me out of that. Yeah, wow, that's a really good question, Alex. So I want to say yes, but I don't want to say that I'm saying that because I'm a biased fan, because I definitely am when it comes to the Pats. But, I think it's between what the 49ers did there in the 80s and that run that they had, really from, the beginning to almost the end there. It's a coin flip. It's maybe a cop-out answer. It's either the Niners or the Pats. Okay. You can make a case for either or.
Okay. Now, Jim, we'll switch gears, and I know some price problems, and now we aren't talking about NFL free agency anymore. We're talking about David Price. What is going on with him in the Boston Red Sox? I know he's had some arm problems, right?
Yeah, he had it with his pitching arm. He had a MRI late last week. He was checked out by Dr. James Andrews. It's these things that happen to pitchers sometimes in spring training that can, at the worst case scenario, means that they're going under the knife. They have Tommy John surgery, and you won't see him for a year and a half. Or in Price's case, there's some discomfort there. The MRI came back clean. He's been checked out. He still is in a little bit of pain. Doesn't know what the timetable is going to be when he's back. But the good thing is, it's as of right now, no Tommy John surgery.
Now, if David Price does not improve his stats this season, do you see this contract already potentially being a bust? I know there's a few contract options where you can opt out of a contract, which I'm sure a lot of Red Sox fans are hoping he does, so the Patriots the Red Sox don't have to deal with him too much longer if, in fact, he is more injury-prone late in his career. So do you feel if he doesn't improve this season, if he does come back from his injury, it could be a bust already?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. If he was good in the regular season last year, and obviously puked on himself in one playoff game like he had in the past. But yeah, if there's a really bad regression this year, and whether that's due to the injury or not, then sure, I think it's fair to say that you could start talking about that contract in Boston.
Now, the Boston Red Sox lost David Ortiz. He retired, of course, as everyone knows. Now, who do you think will be stepping up in this Red Sox clubhouse as this leadership role that the Red Sox have had within David Ortiz in the past, decade?
Good question. I don't know. I think we're all trying to collectively figure that out. I guess the easy answer would be Dustin Pedroia, but he's really never been a vocal leader in the past. Granted, you did have David Ortiz there, so maybe that's why that didn't get to happen. But I would think Pedroia. My fear is that it's Hanley Ramirez, because he considers himself probably more of a player than he actually is. When he had a good season last year, but that was more the anomaly than anything else. His first solid and healthy season in 4 years since 2012. So probably Pedroia, maybe Chris Sale. Beyond that, I don't know. There's so many young players on that team. I mean, as much as I like Mookie Betts or Xander Bogaerts, are they going to be a vocal leader in the clubhouse? Probably not.
Predictions for this MLB season. Do you see this Red Sox team, if in fact all the questions get answered within this pitching rotation, then they could potentially go far, in the season and potentially making the playoffs and going far in the playoffs this year too?
Yeah, but I still think the American League belongs to Cleveland. I get the impression that some people think that was some kind of fluke last year, and it wasn't. And, guys like Francisco Lindor, who I love, are only going to get better, both, at shortstop and at the plate. That pitching rotation is back and, in theory, healthy. And they had a bat, which they desperately needed. I mean, as much as I like Mike Napoli as a player, he was awful in the World Series for them. And now they get a legitimate bat in Encarnacion. Cleveland, it's there. The American League belongs to Cleveland until further notice.
Now, Jim, before I wrap up the interview, I want to talk a little about your career on my show tonight. And I have to ask, what makes you love this career as a sports broadcaster and sports journalist on CBS Sports?
Let's see. I essentially get to live the life of Peter Pan. In other words, I've never grown up and I never had to. I've worked in radio now for 17 years, including my internship. So I'm always kind of dabbled in sport in some way, shape, or form. I started at the music end of radio, but I ended up the sports guy on different permutations of morning shows. But until I ended up kind of getting into this format more than anything else. But it's fun, man. Even the worst days are better than most people's best days. I feel like I'm very lucky, and now I get to do this.
And what's it like working with Felger and Maz there every day?
They're very nice. They're good dudes, and I think a lot of people never believe me when I say that, because of how infuriating they can be with some of their their takes and their thoughts on things. And there's days I want to choke them too because of what they're saying. I can't believe what they're saying. But I think that's the genius of them both. But as people, they're great dudes, and I'm very lucky to get to work with them too.
Most embarrassing moment on live television in your career?
Geez. On live television. Sometimes I read too fast. It's my own hang up, and I've butchered names or something in the updates or anything, and I'm always hard on myself. So if I butcher a name or a stat or I get something wrong, that definitely comes to mind. But that can happen almost on a daily basis. So there's nothing specific that comes to mind though.
Okay, well that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I guess I was lucky there too.
Okay. Final question before we wrap up the interview. What was the best advice you have ever received in this career that you are in today?
Say yes to everything. Outside of if someone well above you or someone you would like to to mentor you, unless they're asking you to do something ridiculous like wash their car for a sexual favor, you should say yes to everything that superiors ask for you here. If you get an internship at a radio station, you want to work your way up and prove your worth. And, that always benefited me. And I always try to tell anyone, try to get their foot in the door, or if they start as an intern, do whatever's asked and sometimes go the extra mile. So I think that's important.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Mr. Murray, for coming on my show tonight. I greatly do appreciate it. And where can the fans follow you on Twitter to follow along with you during the NFL free agency and the MLB season?
At Big Jim Murray on Twitter. At Big Jim Murray. BIGJIMMURRAY.
Okay, great. Thank you again for coming on my show tonight. I greatly do appreciate it.
Thanks, Alex. Take care. I appreciate it.
Okay, Feuz Nation, I just wrapped up that interview with Jim Murray from CBS Sports down there in Boston. He is a producer for Felger and Maz. Feuz Nation, I'll be back here live on Fusion News tomorrow night with a former WWE writer. What does he have to say about the product today? Oh, that's going to be a great interview. Thank you, Feuz Nation, for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, go on to my Facebook page and like my pages as well at Real Alex Feuz, and follow me on Twitter at Alex Feuz. Feuz Nation, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Be kind to one another.